All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today we are here with Mr. Whoopsie. Can you quickly
Yo,
talk so we can see if they
yeah, I
can hear
can, yeah,
you? Okay.
hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, they can, okay.
So, guys, we are going to be hopping into game pretty soon, and we'll be covering a few of our favorite teams facing it off here. And honestly, I am excited to see what Leader Comp has on offer. Now, usually Leader Comp, it doesn't have any huge prizes attached to it, so we don't always see the standard top 8 coming through, but the big boys have shown up, and we're going to start it off on Castilla. So, ladies and gents, let me show you the game, and we can talk a little bit about those lineups.
I mean, the
So,
lineups are pretty normal, as per usual. The crowns, SPHT, the controversy, of course, with the SPHTs. But to be fair, on Castilla, you can't really make use of that tank, so there's only one on each team. I do enjoy seeing a 50B, though. That makes me pretty happy.
yeah, I think for me, the biggest question, because for those of you who don't know, I'm the, I would say, new tournament manager, but I've been here 6 months, and now I'm starting to try and understand exactly when do we need to take action. And a lot of people have been saying, yes, people will just spam SPHD and get a free win. So I'm really excited to see exactly where this thing fits into the meta. But like you said, Castilla, why is this not a map where you need to worry about that too much?
Castilla is just mainly for the caps, it's just playing around, you know.
Okay.
A lot of things can happen, but it's not really a map where you would want to push, especially not on the C point. But as you can see, Walking Ace is probably going to spot the C crossing, see if anyone is going for C. And if no one's going, he might consider capping the C point, but obviously QQ is smarter than that and will be covering the C cap with the two crans there.
Now we do see a little bit
Which
more on A here as well, with the two tanks covering over there, but a little bit more movement also coming out here from QQ as we see them moving in a little bit closer. It feels like a pretty heavy commitment to already make as we see 3 of them moving out, and first shot has been fired instantly, getting a nice little hit over there on Gerbst.
It's not really a specifically big commitment to go to the hill right here. It's quite safe in the beginning, as long as you make sure that there's nobody shooting you from the sea hill. And obviously nobody is, because both teams are basically trying to hold each other off there. And QQ has one tank on the sea hill, which means that they have quite an advantage over that hill on the A cap. So they can just make their play.
Now it
And
does look like there's a lot more action over here, and oh, Mr. Jungle Skog a little bit far forward here with the SPHT, also taking that little bit of extra HP advantage that has to move out, takes a shot here, but damage is exchanged, and we see the Kranwagen taking quite a bit here, but there is more movement underway, and it looks like he's going to be the one that's fully surrounded. But the SPHT!
Yeah, Jungle Skog is in quite an unfortunate situation, but honestly, it should also be quite an expensive push for Zer to make, since obviously you have that 50B on the B cap and the Vickers light still up there. But as far as I can see, Zer seems to be interested in pushing through the spawn and getting some shots into the 50B, trying to get that 50B out of the game as soon as possible, and giving the hill away to QQ, since it's not really important to Team Zer right now.
That Vickers light on the hill is just absolutely a menace as we see him cranking out damage non-stop. Nacho Daddy, sorry, getting a little bit hit from the back here, and it does look like he is going to take a ton of damage, will go down. The SPHD is still very careful about this, but now we have a little tank there on the hill who's about to be surrounded. He should be able to get a few more cheap shots off, but he is a sitting duck at the moment.
The hills is actually in quite a good position, I would say, since Team Zer doesn't specifically have the crossfire from the A hill, so he's quite alright. I'm actually wondering if he could take out the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, since he's down to a one-shot. But obviously you don't want to take a shot from the mouse there. Mouse is currently distracted by Grub in the SPHT and Object 3.
Now
So
with
the
the
Hills is actually in quite a good position, getting some farm out.
getting some
Really
good
good.
damage for him. But you can see how they're trying to get a little bit of a surround on the man, but ooh, another Kranwagen shot coming through, and the HP differential between these two teams. That's exactly what we see at this stage of the game. Points is ticking for QQ as well, as they just have the numbers here. But, of course, Ascendancy not looking at slowing down. You can see they're not trying to give away anything for free, trying to get every shot they can here. The Hills poking out a little bit, but there's a Kranwagen around the corner just waiting. SPHD?
Ooh,
Oh, I was about to say.
I'm missing that shot on the SPHD, quite unfortunate, but it's fine, he takes him out. The Hills is not quite healthy enough to take a shot from the Kran, so he's gonna wait for his teammate to take some shots and take Silent out of the game.
And it does look like finally that first point will go over to QQ. And well deserved here by the guys. They looked confident on their moves. But, of course, this is Castilla after all. People say that there is, of course, the bit of an advantage depending on the side you're at. So, talk me a little bit through that. What does that look like on Castilla? What is the difference for Castilla on each side?
I believe that on one side you have like a specific boost or a spot on the medium flank where you can snipe pretty nicely in a tank destroyer, while on the other side you don't have that advantage. You don't have that spot where you can shoot over the whole medium flank. So there's a bit of an advantage there, but honestly, the advantage is not crazy big since, as you can see, if you play well enough like QQ did, even though they had a good spawn for it, they just took advantage of the C hill and the A hill at the same time, so that Zer basically couldn't make any play.
Now,
Zer didn't really. Zer did try to push in for the heavy side hill, but that didn't really work out since Team QQ had the crossfire on that cap with the 50B in the city and all the other tanks. So.
Now, you mentioned to me that Zer seemed like a very confident team coming into this. Seeing an exchange like that, do you still feel like the confidence might still radiate among the boys?
I mean, Zer played really well yesterday. I believe it was yesterday, yeah. They played really well. They had some cool strats, quite different to the meta as well. It was really interesting to see. But the problem is QQ has like a bunch of players that have been around in the comp scene for so long. They have so much experience compared to Zer. I think Zer is quite a new team, and I feel like that might be a disadvantage right now for them.
Now, as we can see with the loadout, it does look very similar to the last one. Lots of Kranwagens on the field. And honestly, that makes me a very, very happy camper. Just seeing that the Kranwagen meta is still very much alive among these guys. And that's exactly what we want to see in a balanced comp. A nice little tank that will be unlockable for everyone to really carry you all the way through. But this time, a little bit more of a heavier movement on B, as we can see.
I mean, the B cap is quite nice to just take instantly. I don't think, yeah, Zer is not really specifically expecting this. So together with two tanks, you can take the B cap quite quickly, and there's nothing much that Zer can really do about it. So that's the early cap advantage for Team QQ right here.
And no movement from the red side onto A, which is something we saw a little bit different coming from the last game. So, of course, you had your one singular red tank to try and cover, but now on this side, it just looks like they are the only ones pushing here, which just means the numbers on their side going over to the C, but nobody taking any risks yet. So we see a few shots exchanged, and most of the damage, or all of the damage, is on the side of Zer. The guys are taking quite a few shots here, and it's all...
To be fair, Team Zer cannot really do anything right here since they're on the A cap mainly, and there's only damage in the crown to kind of hold the C cap, but As you can see, the T100 LT can quite confidently take the cap, since obviously the crowns are not looking at the moment, and the walking ace doesn't have the range, the view range to spot the T100 LT, which means that QQ will have double cap pressure, which means that Zer will have to make a play, and right now that's really difficult since they already bled quite a lot of HP going into the beginning of this match.
Now, the Felice already getting this low, this early on, which is one of your stronger tanks to have as a frontline here. This man already dead on arrival, but it looks like they've already got their sights set on him. And now, it just feels like, again, a ticking time bomb. But like you said, that advantage on the early cap, it helps significantly. QQ just looking very commanding out here in Castilla. They came in prepared.
To be fair, if you have like the early cap advantage, as you can see right here, you can just take defensive spots around those caps that you already have. And then it's just waiting for the enemy to make a play. And if they do, you just punish it. For example, that Billy's moving up. It cost him his basically all his HP.
Now, the SPHT being surrounded here a little bit, you can see the movement. They know they need to move away. And of course, with A now being completely left alone, you can see them trying to get a little bit of a better angle here and getting things done. Also, Mr. Silent on his Felice, keeping very silent. He's been spotted. He knows he's one shot away from being taken down. Jungleskog getting another beautiful shot there on Walking Ace. And left, right, and center, shots just still being fired off, but the guys are playing it very, very safe, not wanting to overstep here. But unfortunately, that's just the beauty of these 3-point caps. Eventually, you're gonna need to move out, and first blood is drawn. Silent on the Felice. We'll take a moment of silence for him.
I feel like QQ actually has a really confident position right here, having Jungleskog on the top and then Grub to basically crossfire on those guys. Pigola did take the B cap. I don't think it's specifically going to matter, since the guys from QQ are starting their push onto the crown wagon. The T100 LT is already moving in for the light tank to take him out, which is going to be really unfortunate for Team Zer, but it doesn't really matter since QQ already racked up their cap points in the beginning of the match.
Now these guys, QQ just looking strong here coming in. I mean, looking at this, I'm a little bit worried for that comeback opportunity here for Zer. They came in confidently, but, you know, now the big question is, what can they do next to come back from this? Because our next map is going to be Naval Frontier. Now, could you talk us a little bit about through the balance of this map?
Naval Frontier, I really like this map. It has two pretty alright sides, but mainly in the comp, you just see people going for the B cap and trying to get that cap. As soon as you get that cap, and you're gonna try to get away from the B cap because you're in the middle and you have a bunch of angles where people can shoot you from. But if you get away from that cap after capping it, it's just a victory. I have rarely seen people win after one team caps a B cap.
Okay, so the comeback mechanic not the strongest on this map, so getting that early advantage. Okay, sounds good. But guys, I do believe we need to run a little bit of a giveaway here while we're getting ready for the next game to load. So I would like you guys to, in the chat, write down what your favorite tank is, and all of you who guess correctly, I'll be sending some stuff to your account, but it's only if you guess correctly. So put your favorite tank plus your player ID so that I can make sure that I get the right, if you give the right answer, of course. Yeah, let's stick to tier 10. I've actually found a new love for tier 8, by the way. Tier 8 definitely has found my heart. But guys, let's hop on in, and then you guys will find out who those winners are when you get those rewards later. We'll get them to you by, I would say, tomorrow, when we do our next stream as well. So, Naval Frontier hopping on in. This time, I'm seeing a little bit more of those SPHTs coming in, but not too many, actually. So, this makes my heart pretty happy.
I mean, 5 SPHTs in one game is quite a lot in my opinion. Because one SPHT is already like 7,000 HP, which is nuts.
Yes,
Because
and that
back
is...
in the days, you used to have lineups that were like 16,000 HP, and now you're already up to the 20,000 mark, which is ridiculous in my opinion.
It is a lot of HP to go around, but luckily pretty equally balanced between the two. And I guess now the question is, what do you forego in favor of that extra bit of HP on the SPHT? But we do see the first SPHT, both SPHTs are the boys to take the first damage. And with that first shot going in, it doesn't feel like they took too much. You still see them very
No.
happily towering above the others.
It doesn't really make a difference when you get shot by someone when you're in the SPHT because you have so much HP. And the problem with the SPHT is that you have like really good pan values and a nice DPM, which is pretty much nuts to me. You could just rack out, I think it's like around 2.5 plus K per minute. That's I don't know. I don't know why people thought that that was a good idea to release the tank in its current state.
So with this, we need to make sure that we are taking a quick look at how these guys are going to plan to move out here. As you can see, the Kranwagen, he's hoping to move in out, but the object is the one who pokes his face and gets a decent shot here on that SPHD, and it looks like he is taking a ton of damage here already. Both of these guys from Zero just taking quite a bit. Even with that SPHD advantage on both their sides, it just looks like QQ is playing this so clean. But on the side of Zero, we can see them trying to get that little bit of work done here on the sides, trying to use these walls as an advantage, but my goodness, is QQ just playing it clean?
I mean, Zero that did get the B cap, which I was talking about, but they didn't really take it as clean as I've seen other teams do before, which means that they have quite a big HP disadvantage, which means that QQ can just move in after that, as they are already doing on the C cap.
Now, we just see a ton of damage being exchanged here. The very low SPHT just surviving by the skin of his teeth, and on the other side, one by one, falling. Kranwagen, the only thing keeping them alive. But now, and as I realize, I forgot to update the score here, now up to going to be a 3-0 for QQ already.
Yeah, now we just see Walking Ace. He's jumped onto someone. Someone jumped onto him. Yeah.
Going out in style.
Jumped onto him.
Now, this is a best of 7. So, of course, for this, you're going to need to bring a reverse sweep, which, as we know, not that simple, actually. And these guys, not looking like they're ready to let up anything like that today. Now, guys, that means this is all or nothing. Well, at least there's the loser bracket that they can fall down on if anything goes wrong here. But we're seeing, actually, let me quickly go back in game. I want to show you guys this. The most damage coming from the side here of Zir as well. We see from the Kranwagen. SPHD at the top. On both sides, the Kranwagen and the SPHD all the way carrying it through. But I'm really happy to see that Kranwagen still showing us the prominence on the battlefield. Absolute chads.
The problem with SPHD is you have so much HP that you can just keep shooting. It doesn't really matter what you do. As long as you keep shooting, you'll probably end up in the top 3 when it comes to damage.
Yeah, and
ridiculous.
This is why it's so important for us to try and test these out at the high level to see exactly where they will land. But now, let's go see what our next matchup is going to be like. Now, guys, I can see the lineup, and I'm sure you guys are excited to see if they will do exactly the same going the other way. And guys, remember what I said. We're doing a giveaway, so if you want to win a battle pass, remember to write in chat your player ID and what's your favorite tank. And if it is the correct one, I will send one all the way through. Now, guys, it is time for us to get ready for the second side of Naval Frontier. So let's go see if that is going to be a forgiving one this round around, but I really hope that Zero has something planned for us, because these guys, they need to give us not a 4-0 at least. Not in the top 4. We need something a little bit closer.
Yeah, they should lock in just like yesterday or 2 days before against Yuxa and Team Elite. That was pretty insane to watch. They just pushed in and just absolutely dominated that game.
Now we're gonna view it from the side of Zero specifically to try and see what their movements are. We see a lot more movement onto the sea with only one of the ore from the red side going over there. So them definitely gonna be trying to get that sea cap, and we do see that going over the QQ pretty quickly. But now the real question is, how easy is this gonna be to hold?
This is going to be a longer game, I think.
Less risky moves?
Yeah, I see less risky moves. We do see that QQ already took the first cap, which is going to make Zur want to take a cap as well.
Now, Zur, the only opportunity they'll have here is on A, but you do see that Not Your Daddy, sorry, is already in position to just snipe anyone who dares step on out. That Felice is looking like he's ready to snack on anyone. Jingleskog helping him with that other angle, ensuring, but they've been spotted. They know where the moves are. We do see a few investigative shots being shot out through there because they know the positions. They know exactly where they want to be. But QQ getting those points coming in slowly, and we just see a little bit of a stalemate here. But on the other side, some cheap shots are being exchanged.
Problem for Zur right now is that the B cap is already defended by the hills, and then you have the A cap, which is defended by Not Your Daddy and both Grub. Because if Silent would want to go for the A cap, he would probably go into the side of the wall, but that's going to be out by Grub, which means that Silent will not be able to make a play for that capture point.
Now, it does look like there's a little bit of movement from them onto C. They're realizing that, hey, maybe it's a little bit of a stalemate here on A, and a lot more movement coming out from them here, but you see Not Your Daddy very quickly adjusting to try and crossfire there from the whole other side of the map. But the mouse looking pretty confident there. I just wouldn't be that confident when I've got a chieftain looking straight at me. He shoots, but he doesn't hit. Object 3, though, he gets that hit.
Going there with the mouse, I'm not sure why. Especially because you're just on your own in the mouse. Now you have shots coming from the IS-4 into you. And also from the hills if he would be interested in the mouse, but I don't think the main interest would be for the mouse, since the mouse is also an HP sponge.
So the mouse is going to be able to get that shot on IS-4 though, and it looks like the SPHT is going to be there to support him, and SXBEF is in a little bit of danger here, but Animal, we see him also moving back. He realizes, hey, this man is a sitting duck, I need to move back here. Zir still got a little bit of that HP advantage here, but feeling a lot more confident about their play at the moment. So even though they're a little bit down in the points, it does look like their trades are just going a little bit better for now.
Yeah, Zero has quite a good advantage on the C cap, which, as you can see, Animal is already moving back to not lose a bunch of HP from the SPHTs and the Rein with the Panzerwagen that's coming from behind.
Now the Object 3...
getting pressured.
Oh, he is in a little bit of danger here. We do see Animal on the Chieftain. He's also taking a good shot there, but the collapse is coming on through, and Zir, they are looking commanding. Mouse there, standing on the hill, just trying to get a nice shot, and he gets the killing blow like an absolute animal. And I say that because I believe Animal is still on the battlefield. Oh no, never mind, he died.
I mean, I'm not so sure if Zer still has the advantage, since obviously, as you can see, QQ still has the double cap right now and more HP. So they did punish the push from Zer,
But
which
the
is
question...
going to be quite hard for Team Zer to push through.
That's what I was about to ask. This is a moment where you have one more tank on the field, right? But you're in such a position where it feels like any move you make just mean -1 member. And not your Dari, sorry. He looks a little bit more confident about this. SPHT moving out, but like you said, that thing has a lot of HP. He's looking out, he's gonna look straight out at Felice. Both of them trading a shot in. SPHT doing 500 damage on that last shot. But this is a trade, and the SPHT, it doesn't feel like he's winning this, but his secondary SPHT is following suit. Another man going down for 0, and now all of a sudden the numbers game, tank-wise, is looking pretty even, but QQ, they are looking confident.
QQ is punishing quite effectively, as you could see. You saw the SPHT going for the B cap to try and hold the cap for a bit, but I don't think it's going to matter all too much. Zer will be trying to get out the Felice, but QQ is quite in a good position to punish them, and they do take out that tank on the B cap.
Very quickly, making sure that this best of 7 is the shortest best of 7 we could have asked for on this side of the bracket. The guys absolutely killing it. Just showing us why they are going to be in the winner bracket finals for tomorrow. Now, guys, this is the beauty of being the tournament manager. I can quickly go into our systems and see how far the others are going as well. But you can also head over to many of the other streams who are doing exactly that. Oh, look at my beautiful little Caro. Now, let's go look at the damage. That's what I want to see. Look at that! Top damage is just 4,000 from that brave SPHD who braved everyone and anything. But the Kranwagens at the top there on the other side, showing us that they are still king. Kran is king.
Yeah, Kran's still strong. It holds its power because of the auto reloader, of course, and the turret armor, but I mean, the SPHT is it's just raw HP and DPM. It's difficult to counter.
Now, considering that we do need to wait to catch up to the other side of this bracket, guys, I am going to show you something that I was cooking for Gamescom, and we are going to play it on stream here because why not? Might as well. So give me 1 second. and I realized I had I had a sound issue. Back in 3 minutes. Oh no! So they can hear me by now. I fixed it by now. So, yeah. Now they also can't hear you. They will be able to hear you in a few moments. Oh no, guys, I didn't set up this scene because it was impromptu. It was all impromptu. We weren't supposed to do a presentation. So by the time they get back to here, they'll be like, oh, wow. Okay, but luckily everyone's engaging in chat, so it's fine. Okay, so, Whoopsie, tell me about the Tiger 1.
Tiger 1, I think it was one of the mainly produced tanks from the Germans at the time in the World War II. It was quite strong because of the 88mm gun, of course, and quite a strong armor for that time. I believe back in the days, the Americans and Russians had to use like 3 to 5 of their tanks to counter one of the German tanks.
Wow. Oh, that's actually pretty wild. My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, I mean, from that, I can tell you it's real. I love that you all know all the history, though. Well, damn. Okay. Next up, we have our T-34. So, Whoopsie, while everyone is guessing in chat, you tell me, T-34, how do we feel?
A real tank and in Blitz.
Okay.
It must be.
Do you also know the history as well as you did earlier?
T-34 is seen as the mainly produced tank in the World War II by the USSR. It was pretty reliable. It was strong enough to deal with most things. It was just a good all-rounder for the USSR back in the days.
And of course, the M4 Sherman. I love this thing. This is one of my favorite tanks. Guys, if you aren't... I'm joking. We were talking about tier 10s earlier. But the M4 Sherman, my goodness, is this thing a beauty? Whoopsie, how do we feel about this one?
I feel like this is also quite an easy one. Real and in Blitz.
Now,
I feel like the M4 Sherman was the mainly produced tank by the United States of America at that time.
Now, as we go through these guys, I want us to get to some that are a little bit harder here. And I think looking at something like the KV-2, we look at something that doesn't necessarily look like your standard old conventional tanks from back in the day. What can you tell me about the KV-2?
KV-2 is actually real and in Blitz as well. I believe they used the KV-2 as mainly like a bunker to shoot bigger tanks or shoot actual troops. And when the USSR had to defend themselves from Germany, I believe they dug the tank in and they just used it as a bunker to shoot down bigger tanks and incoming troops.
Okay. Oh my goodness. So I love, are you a tank nerd?
Yeah, a little bit.
I went to Malta recently and I didn't know the pivotal point of Malta in World War II because originally I'm from South Africa, so we don't really get part of European history. But oh my goodness, was it interesting. I could not believe it, and I can totally see why people are World War II nerds. It is, I can feel it growing in my blood slowly but surely. But let's move on to the next one. And guys, I would actually leave this one to Twitch and YouTube chat. Ladies and gentlemen, how do we feel about this one? And actually, this one I'm hoping everyone gets right. But my real question is, if this tank was real, which nation would it belong to?
I believe it belongs to the fantasy thing. I don't
Yes.
know what it's called, the Blitz Nation thing.
But if this was a real tank, which nation would have been creative enough to come up with this bad boy?
I would say Germany. It's quite close to a Leopard type of vehicle, or maybe France because of the AMX CDC.
Okay. Okay. See, these are the very important questions we ask. It's the ifs. So guys, we're still waiting to see what the next game is. And for those of you who can hear us now, finally, you'll know that we had a little bit of a sound issue earlier. Um, for now, what we're going to be doing is if you answer in the chat, I'm going to choose some random people from the chat who answer correctly. But to me, so far, it looks like you guys all know your tanks to just make sure that you can also win some prizes. Now, I'm going to put the next one up and I have to hide it every time. So we can go and see true or false. Because the true or false ones might be a little bit more difficult. So, history. True or false?
Mouse was mass produced in. I'm already seeing some correct answers in the chat. I'm being sneaky, choosing some winners.
Okay. So, mouse. Historically, I think you told us about the mouse earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, the
Mm.
mouse.
So, history lesson for everyone. History from earlier this stream.
The mouse,
History from.
yeah. I
Mm.
believe there's only one mouse that they built. There were supposed to be two, if I'm not mistaken, and one got finished later after the war. But I believe the mouse that they did find in war, I believe they bombed it in the factory. So
Wow. Okay.
there were only two.
There were only two. So
Yeah,
it carried all the way through. So why did they stop producing the mouse?
it just took too much effort. The tank was too big. The when you When you had like full fuel tank, you could only drive for like 2 minutes at what? I think it was 14 kilometers per hour ish. And it was too heavy to ship with trains and drive over bridges. It was too heavy.
Okay. And on to our next one. The T-34 is strongly associated with the Soviet Union. And guys, for those of you giving me my detailed answers in the chat, thank you very much. Those will be noted. So whoopsie, make sure you highlight those if you see them. So, but the Soviet Union here, what is usually indicative of a tank that is from the Soviet Union?
Hold on, what? I didn't catch that one.
Oh, I asked, what is usually indicative of a tank that's from the Soviet Union? What do we usually see out of Soviet tanks?
um, Reliability,
Mm,
if we're talking about real life. Um, they mainly produced the tanks that were reliable. They
okay.
didn't really do that much when it came to things like projects with the mouse and stuff because it's just not worth it. If you have something that's already reliable, why would you go further than needed at that time? But yeah, I believe the T-34s, they were quite easy to spot because of a red star on the gun
Of course.
barrel.
On
I
the
believe they
barrel
had
as
that
well.
standard. Yeah, I
Mm,
believe they had that in real life, but I'm not sure.
okay.
One thing they also did with the T-34s is they put a bucket on top of the cannon barrel to make it look like a IS-2, which were pretty scary for the Germans. So they just
Okay.
put a metal bucket on top of the gun to make it look like a bigger muzzle brake, I believe.
Tank talk with Whoopsie. The
Yeah,
Sherm the Sherman was used by Allied forces in World War II.
let's have a look.
You have to think about this one too. I'm glad to hear that. So, guys, for once we have bested our tank expert here. I'm glad to hear. But let's see if the Twitch chat tankers know the answer too. I like reading some of these answers because they're 3 minutes behind. I see still some funny answers that go through, and I'm just like giggling on the inside. Now, just so you guys know, the tournament is still ongoing, and we are waiting for them to finish up on the other side of the bracket. So we will be continuing those matches pretty soon. So yes. So tell me, did you do your research? Do you know yet what happened to this tank?
The Sherman?
Mm-hmm.
What was the question again?
This Sherman was used by Allied forces in World War II.
Yep. Yep, it was. I
Okay.
believe they also made a Sherman that could float underwater or could drive underwater. They had like this massive thing around it that made sure that water didn't enter the tank.
Okay.
So
That's
when they took the
Mhm.
Sherman off their boats, the tank wouldn't sink. Well, not really sink. No water would come inside the tank. Same for like the Russian T-32. It was quite a reliable tank.
So, okay. So you're saying the Soviet tanks, they were the ones that were reliable. So what was the
Yeah,
nation known for the real DPS tanks?
DPS tanks.
Yeah.
When it comes to like really dumb big cannon tanks, Russia was definitely there with the Su-152, but it wasn't really used that much in the World War area. But I believe, yeah, Germany, it mainly stands out because of obviously people believe that they lost the World War because of the production of the mouse. It just
Hmm.
took so many resources and so much time, it wasn't worth it.
So the production of the mouse was a huge part of a huge dent in the war, I guess. That's actually pretty
Yeah.
surprising. And there's only two. Nice. Okay. Wow. All right. So sloped armor can help a tank deflect incoming shots, guys. I hope you know that. If you don't know this by now, then we gotta talk. We gotta talk. The amount when I joined World of Tanks Blitz and I had to like grind out my games to really get used to it. I must say the fact that Ricochet became a thing, it was a hard mountain to climb. Wide tracks help tanks move across soft or rough terrain. And apparently some tanks can go through water pretty easily. Today I learned a lot. But I'm actually, one sec, I need to hide this thing again so I can switch to another set of questions. These are supposed to be for the general public, so they are not necessarily supposed to be too hard for you guys, but for the rest of them. So let's go to name the nation, ladies and gentlemen. Name that nation.
Oh god.
Super difficult. So, the Tiger won. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just giving you a few seconds, then I go to the next one, because if you don't know that this bad boy is German, what do you even know? Let's go on. Then the mouse. I wonder. We haven't spoken about this guy too much. We haven't spoken about this one at all.
Yeah.
Germany standing strong. Okay, now we get back to the Panther guys. So, what about the Panther? Oh, wait, whoopsie. Can you tell me a little bit about the? I feel like you're the encyclopedia here. Tell me about the Panther.
Yeah. The Panther, yeah. I believe the Panther was made because I don't know why it was made. I believe the Tiger might have been a bit slow, but the Panther was pretty strong. It had a really, really strong gun because it had a high amount of penetration at that time, even more than the Tiger one already had. And it was faster when going forward as well. But I believe the Panther was just, it was one of those tanks that it came later on in the war. It was too late. They had put already too much resources into the mouse at that point to mass produce Panthers. But yeah, the Panther is based off the VK30.10.
I just feel like this is a moment where we might need to say it. And guys, but the panther was, oh, they would sing to the panther. "Du bist nicht genug." That thing has plagued my algorithm for too long. So a little bit too late because of the
God.
mouse. Okay, T-34. All right, tankers. What is the T-34? We talked about this bad boy a little bit earlier, boys. I'm not going to let Whoopsie talk your ears off about this. He's educated us about this one before. If you didn't listen, check back in with our podcast that happened a little bit ago. And we'll see that Mr. USSR has been representative. All right, the KV-2. This one, bunker down. So why was this such a critical tank in the USSR's siege, I guess, in a way? Why did they need this type of model?
I don't think it was specifically necessary, but it was just there as acting as a massive bunker that could shoot down anything that came in its path.
High
It
DPS.
wasn't specific. Yeah, it was just one big boom, and then, well, whatever stood across the tank was no more.
I love that. That it was just one big boom. I'm gonna use that at Gamescom. I'm gonna steal your joke. I'm an official joke stealer. Thank you. Okay, the Sherman, ladies and gentlemen. With a name like Sherman, I really hope you guys can guess that just right. And guys, when you put in your answers, boys, please put in your player ID as well. Otherwise, I'm just going to be having to guess who this random YouTube person is who is answering these questions. Thank you very much.
Sneaking around in the YouTube chat. Looking for some people to give away.
Now, Sherman, I'm hoping everyone was like, oh, USA, USA. Yeah, in this case, correct. Churchill, though. I wonder who this one is named after, though.
Well, if you've had any history classes, you would definitely know.
I can't put my finger on it, actually. This has to be a French tank. 100%. So one
this must
from
be rage bait.
Yeah, that is rage bait, guys. Please don't fall for the bait. That is, I'm just here to pull out your soul if you are all here. And I see someone saying all Germany. No, we are representing here in it. So this tank is bloody nice, isn't it? So Whoopsie, what can you tell us about this tank here?
Churchill was also mainly a bunker, but you could just shoot so many times in a row because it had quite a fast reload because the tank shells weren't that heavy. But yeah, it was named after Churchill. I'm not sure why. I don't know much about British tanks, to be fair. I believe it was just a rolling bunker.
A rolling bunker. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Leopard. So, guys, leopard. And this one is real, I promise. So, by the way, they finally finished on the other side of the bracket. So, we will be able to schedule the game for pretty soon, and then we can hop into our next one. So, I have moved up the game, and we will have vision pretty soon. It was 4-3, surprisingly. Pretty close.
So quite a close game then.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. Masio, he got the best of the best over there. So we will be heading into that game in the next 7 minutes. So Leopard, ladies and gentlemen. Deutschland, ja. Danke, Deutschland. Für noch ein. So, Whoopsie, was ist ein Leopard? Ist das ein Tier?
It's a tank.
Okay, it's all right. We have more to go through until we get in. Then we have our Mr. Hellcat, the M18 Hellcat. See, I actually can't place it. I haven't played with the Hellcat yet. I haven't actually encountered a Hellcat in any of my thousands of games.
It's actually quite decent of a tank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you
I
please...
believe Wargaming buffed it a while back to give it 240 damage per shot, which was quite a nice buff for that tank. But yeah, I believe in real life it was mainly used for its good cannon. Same for the Tiger one, but it had a different type of use since the Hellcat doesn't have any armor and the Tiger one does. It was used for its speed and good gun that it has.
Okay. Effectiveness by the USA right here. All right. Then we have the Centurion. And Centurion, I actually also have never tried this tank. Is this one that's on your is this one in your garage?
The Centurion one? Mm, yeah, I think I do have it in my garage, but I don't really enjoy playing the Centurion one. But I absolutely adore the Centurion 7/1, which comes one level later at tier 9. It's my favorite tier 9 tank.
Okay. I actually didn't take you for a tier 9 player. I know there's some people who just play tier 10 out there. Actually, now this is another question for chat. So for those of you listening closely, another few battle passes up for grabs as I ask you the question, what is your favorite tier to play in? And if you answer correctly, I will select 5 people that we will be sending out some rewards to.
Is there
So
a correct and a wrong for your
yes, there's a
favorite
correct
tier?
one, and the correct one is unannounced. That is
Oh,
actually I'll reveal it later. But yeah, for now it's a secret. So yeah, there. This is a bait. This is a bait.
it
So
must be your favorite tier now. It must be tier 8.
oh no, he ruined it. Okay, then. By the way, guys, the tournament room has been created. I am already seeing Oasis palms, and I see that lineup that nobody else can see. And I'm a very happy girl to announce that I am not too worried about the SPHD meta. Very nice. Okay, MX13. This bad boy, whoopsie, take the lead. Tell us about this. Tell us about this guy.
AMX-13, I believe this was one of the early French tanks with an autoloader.
Mm.
And yeah, it's quite a fast and small tank. I believe this was made later on after the World War, where they started to realize that ground combat wasn't it wasn't important to have armor for ground combat because guns had developed to the point where you could just cut through anything, so they just chose to have higher mobility over the armor. And then obviously with the French autoloader, they just choose like, oh, if you can shoot a bunch of times after another shell, then you know that would be easy to take out enemy tanks. Which, if you do play the counterpart of this game, which I'm not gonna name, you know it's quite a strong nation.
I like that you kept it World Tanks Blitz friendly. Good job. No, the cheat. Wait. Did we make a? No. Okay. Is this? Is there a mistake on this page?
No,
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't think
Because
so.
okay, because my picture I had in mind was very different from this one, and I realized I made this. I could be wrong. Okay. So nothing to be worried about here. And with a name like the Cheeto, tell me about the Cheeto. Is this ever something that a normal war would have encountered?
Mm,
Like our side of the world, at least.
I'm not so sure about Japanese tanks. All I know is like obviously that the two big bombs. I don't think there was too much ground combat in Japan. It was
Okay.
quite hard to reach, so yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what I imagine as well. But yeah. Oh, guys, where's 1 minute until we go into the game? And I know you guys had fun with my quiz. I'm very glad. I'm really happy to see how much you guys engaged because with this quiz, we're gonna be, like I said before, or I don't know if I said this where people can hear it, but we are going to be showcasing it at Gamescom. We want to make sure that people are engaging with it. So I appreciate everyone participating here, and I will be sending out some battle passes and crates to those who participated. So I am really, really thankful for all of you guys who had answered in the chat. And I'll make sure that everyone who participated, who put their player ID, gets at least a crate for their effort. So thank you guys very much. But a few lucky select ones who participated a lot, you will be getting your battle passes. So do not worry. Do not fret. Wham will send. So, guys, we're almost ready for the next one. So let's hop on in and see exactly what is waiting for us in this lobby already. And I see very few SPHDs. I'm a very happy girl. Whoopsie.
Oh, it's the spawns. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's quite a hill type of map, so it would make more sense to have a Kranwagen and like a Maas or a Phillies in the middle, in the town area. Since the SPHD doesn't quite have the turret armor profile as the Kran has. So, SPHD on the team right now on this map is mainly for the HP, I guess, and for the push. So
Yeah,
just use the damage sponge.
Yeah, we've been seeing that with the SPHD now for a bit. Like, every game, they are there to suck up the first few shots and try to get that map control. And we see everyone moving out there to A and B, while there's a lonely little man going to Cap C, and that's going to be a start there for Liquid. But let's go see where the real action's happening.
Both teams are moving up for the A cap. The Hill's actually playing quite aggressive for that corner. Interesting.
Gets the spot though, and already getting a nice shot off through, as the Verliest is the one to take the first bit of damage. Oh, but the double shot on poor Mr. Kranwagen there. Not too great of a feeling, but he gets a nice return shot as well. Perfectly dealt. And ooh, QQ just getting a lot of good hits out.
Both teams are trading quite decently, but QQ is going for the B cap and the A cap, so again the double cap pressure, and then it will probably fall back to just try and hold the cap, and once the enemy moves they just punish. It's mainly the clan war move.
We do see that Armory with the SPHD, very brave, going around here. SPHD on SPHD action, but the Kranwagen is there to support. He gets a good shot off, but it looks like he barely tickled him.
Ooh. I find that quite a risky move from Amur to do that.
There isn't.
He doesn't know if there's like a bunch of people behind him.
We do
100 LT moving.
We do see that these two are facing off there at about the Kran, but there's a lot of damage exchanged here, and already first blood is drawn. One of the Krans going down. SPHD is really far, not far on the tracks. He's already gone down pretty quickly, but now pretty even exchange all around though.
Yeah, it's quite an even exchange, but you still see that QQ did have double caps, but now Liquid does take that second cap, the A cap there. The Hill's in quite an unfortunate position. It's probably going to be taken out very, very soon.
Yeah, as we can...
I'm not quite sure who has the advantage here. That's an unfortunate shot to miss on the Phillies there.
And not your daddy, sorry, taking a bit of damage here, but he returns so well. Getting dangerously low, but Peanut, he also needs to be a bit more careful. Mav 1K, oh, he is going around taking the shot, but of course this is a Kranwagen, he can take a shot. SPHD, we're gonna need more firepower to get that man down, and he's ready to shoot. He gets the killing blow yet again, and Brooks is feeling confident, but does get taken down in the end.
This leaves Animal versus 4 tanks, which would mean that it's game over. Which it is, since Liquid does have the caps.
The Chieftain is great at this. 1v4? My goodness. No, but beautifully played here. And honestly, I'm glad to see this level of aggression from them. This is not something we saw in the previous games. A lot more careful all around, but now they are not going to be able to just sit back. They're going to need to move out and make their opponents make the mistakes. Because we saw, again, very aggressive plays coming out from both teams. Really reading each other well, but in the end, of course, we can see who prevailed. Now, what I like to look at the top here, guys, is, again, we have a Kranwagen, we have a Chieftain sitting happily there at the top. But the fact that the SPHTs could go that deep and still be up here is absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah, well, I don't see it as a good thing. It's quite ridiculous that you can push up that far and then survive 3 tanks shooting at you and then just dealing so much damage still. Don't like
Now,
it. Don't like it.
we're getting ready to load into the next one too, but guys, I have to hop in and out every single time to make sure I don't show too much. But it does look like this one is all safe. So let's hop on in and see the next lineup. Now, not much changing here, as we can see. Just, again, 2 SPHTs on one side, SPHT on the other side. But again, your Kranwagen meta is still holding strong. I am liking the FV215B, 2 of them on the side of QQ here. Talk me through it.
I mean, the 215B doesn't really catch my eye. I'm mainly looking at the Foch. The Foch really surprises me, especially in a map like this one.
Okay.
I mean, it has a good gun. It has nice alpha damage, kind of good penetration value, but the tracks are so weak and everyone knows it in the comp scene, so yeah, I don't know. I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen with that Foch. 215Bs, they're pretty strong, but obviously the tracks on those tanks are weak as well. But last game they did have a Chieftain. Chieftain has Hesh instead of a APCR or a premium AP or a heat shell. I think they just take the 215B right now because of a more reliable armor profile and obviously that extra penetration on the premium shells right now.
What I want to point out to you guys is the fact that we are seeing a lot more action on C. We have a whole team migrating to C here. The Vickers Light trying to get that cap point, but this one is not for free. And you can see he knows this. He backs off. He takes 2 heavy shots. Luckily not a third. But cavalry has arrived and everyone is in position to push this back. It looks like these 3 tanks are going to need to back off anyway. They might give up the point, but at the same time, this gives them the information they need to know that A is free for the taking. Larissa moving in pretty quickly and then quickly making a turn there to the B as well, as we do see the SPHD feeling brave enough to not really worry about taking a bit of damage.
Both the A and B cap are pretty much free for Team Liquid, but I don't think this is going to be a cap game at all. I think that QQ will be pushing in to help Grupp out, or maybe just let Grupp die as a sacrifice and try to take out as many other tanks as possible in the time that Grupp is basically distracting these 2 guys.
He keeps 2 people busy, but it does mean that these guys need to make a lot of moves. And we do see someone else dying first, actually. Kranwagen going down here. SXB is not long for this world. And honestly, this feels like Liquid is very comfortably trading this way. Just making sure that even their low HP tanks are getting every bit of power they can. As we do see one of the Krans going down, though. Q just losing more members as the time goes on. Not Your Daddy also getting dangerously low here. And it does feel like there is an opening to get a shot off on him, but SPHD, this man, he will be able to take another shot and survive.
Psycho got nerfed in quite an uncomfortable situation though with Not Your Daddy, but Not Your Daddy does get shot from the back, which means that he will be taken out by that Foch. Wow, the Foch actually seems to work out.
What was crazy is he was left on 12 HP for that last shot. The man has gotten his value in, but the FV21B's not going to be going down here just yet. And that poor SPHD on Striker has not been able to shine as much as it wanted to. And did you get to see our crazy tank pick, the Foch? I need to see where it ended, damage-wise. Because
yeah, I'm quite interested to see that.
I don't really know what he did that last At last round, I didn't get to see him shine. Will they pull it out again?
Probably not. Probably not.
This is usually because, of course, we still have our final day tomorrow. This feels like one of those, did you read into it? Like, hey, what crazy strat did they prepare? Is this something we might need to be prepared for? So, let's go see what these guys were up to in the end.
It was just an average performance, I would say. But, yeah. Interesting.
I like looking at the two sides of these icons they use. People are like, hey, OG right here. These guys are like, we're going modern, boys. But this now means we have a situation with the 2-0 up already. And honestly, Liquid, I would be pretty much quaking in my boots after seeing that performance. They feel like they have prepared for this with no hesitance. They're just pushing. They know exactly how to exchange. They know who to sacrifice. They know when to sacrifice, and read their opponents perfectly. Now we're getting a little bit of a different map here now, Yukon. And Whoopsie, can you talk us through the strategy that we usually see out there on Yukon?
Yukon. I'm not really a fan of Yukon. There's like a lot of strategies you could go for, but I think going for either A or D is both fine. Both caps are pretty confident. But obviously the cap that's close to your spawn, B or C is just free. Unless the enemy on, I believe, north spawn is quite aggressive, you can decap before the enemy caps it.
And I almost didn't press
really
ready. Oh! I almost didn't press ready!
Yukon. Yeah, I think Yukon is quite small because of the 4 caps. It's small for a 4 cap map.
Now let's go see how that one will play out as we see our, now a little bit more of an SPHD meta coming along. Now I'm a little bit worried, Whoopsie.
I mean, how many do they have? 2 on Liquid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 on 3 here. Yeah, so the HP differential, not massive, but we did see it working for QQ before. Now we do see everyone making their way out to mostly one side here, but an SPHT, of course, capping on both sides, knowing that they are the ones who can take those first shots, and a few more seconds on the side of QQ for those extra points. But the first damage has been shot, and the Vickers Light is the poor victim here. Hills running back with his nozzle between the tracks and tries to get back to safety.
I had to mute for a second.
Now, we do see a little bit of an aggressive move here coming out. I say little. These guys have been showing us this time and time again, but the HP is a little bit more on the advantage of the QQs. But Striker and Amaury, they are not scared of just keeping that push going as we see more red support around the corner. And everyone is just waiting around corners. Exchanges are happening left, right, and center, and it feels like a pretty disgusting amount of damage. Object 3 on the Kranwagen now closing in on Amaury, and it doesn't feel like there's support there. Peanut is in range, but Animal is doing exactly the same and takes a beautiful shot on the Kran, but even exchanges all around. Oh, like, not even anymore.
You losing their light tank earlier on is quite a significant thing. But, I mean, they're playing quite well around losing the light tank. But Object 3 is in a very uncomfortable position.
He's trying to get as much damage as he can before going down. Amaury getting dangerously low here. Oh, here we go. Amaury going down as I click the button, but Peanut and Object 3 exchanging now. But the thing is, oh, look at those beautiful camos. We can see that the backup has
Ooh.
arrived, and that is usually your differentiating factor between the two. Peanut trying to get a little bit around the building to survive longer, getting just another shot off, but this is neck and neck. 3 to 3 tanks alive, and Psycho basically still full HP.
Wondering if he's gonna go for the cap or for the damage. Seems to be the case that he's going for the damage. Try to distract Object 3 and the SPHT there.
Beautiful placement there by Punisher. Gets an amazing shot. Now SXBF, he was full HP, almost full HP when this exchange started, and now he is dangerously close to going down. Peanut, he needs to get another shot or two off, and that's exactly what he will be given, but the SPHD lives long, just not long enough.
That was a very close game.
But a lot better played here by QQ than we just saw before. Now, of course, the win still goes over to Liquid, but at the same time, we're seeing a bit of a different side of QQ. Now, we need to see if that Yukon strategy can carry them all the way through to the winner or to the grand final, or if Liquid deserves that 4-0.
I mean, I would have expected better from QQ, considering that they have more experience when it comes to clan wars and competitions. But Liquid is actually quite confident, it seems.
Oh, definitely. And with the damage all around, you can see that Vickers Light just being taken out early, as you mentioned. It definitely put a dent in on them. Even if he didn't die early, he just took so much that he was stuck waiting for death. So between these two teams, definitely look like Liquid is not gonna be making this easy whatsoever. 50 seconds left on the clock. Looking at the lineups, let's take a quick moment to see Vickers Light coming in on the hills, of course. Chieftain being drafted here, and almost even split here between the Kranwagens and the SPHTs. But we do see a little bit of a change. Only 2 SPHTs on each side here. Not that third one we saw from before.
Yeah, it's basically a mirror matchup, but the only difference is the 215B and the Chieftain. Chieftain is better in putting out damage, and 215B has just a little bit better of an armor profile and is a bit faster because of that super speed boost.
And as we load on in Yukon, possibly our last map, or is this going to be a reverse sweep by QQ? Now, loading into this, I saw that Twitch chat and YouTube chat was all about Yukon being strategy. So, love to see if that is going to be the full case and if they can strategize this one through. And we see them rolling out. So, let's get a high view and make sure that we can... Oh, I forgot how to use a keyboard, guys. Apologies. This time movement very, very fast here onto point D. And we do see the Vickers stopping right there. Not going to be taking chances like we saw last game. But everyone moving to D and B here. But of course, Liquid gets that first cap. With no one going to C, that is not as easy of a thing to do for QQ.
Both teams going for the D cap basically, but QQ not interested in that C cap is quite surprising to me, since the last couple games that we saw from QQ were more strategized based on caps.
Now the D cap is slowly going over to QQ, but does get interrupted there as they decide, hey, we gotta move out forward first. Does get a good shot off here, but Psycho got nerfed just in a great spot to keep exchanging there with the hills, standing on the hills. Actually, I'm wondering if that is exactly why he chose this name. QQ getting very well spread damage all around. SXBF again taking so much damage, but he's every single time he moves very far forward, making sure that SPHT is the real tank in the composition. The points, they are ticking though, but it doesn't feel like a point game either, this one.
I'm not sure. Both teams aren't really moving right now. They're just exchanging some shots right now. I
On
would
the
expect Liquid to make a move for the C cap to apply some extra cap pressure.
And it looks like that's exactly the case as we see one of them speeding off towards A, actually. Oh, never mind. C, he's back onto C. And it feels like it's split, but the difference is one of those points that are split is gathering points, and the other one is 0-3 down and just waiting for the opponents to make a mistake. They don't need to make any mistakes. Striker, though, moving a little bit further out, does take some damage here from the Chieftain and decides to go back. But spotting has been done. A lot of spotting coming on through, but not a lot of damage. Oh, I say that, and then everyone gets damaged. I cursed it.
We do see Liquid moving in from behind, together with the light tank and Punisher.
Oof, and gets a shot off, almost goes down. That's a very low SPHT, but we've seen that before.
Punisher will have to try to take out Object 3 or Daze as soon as possible.
But the heals
It's
is
taking too much time.
looking at a victim. Oh, and another one going down. This is such a close game again with HP at least, but let's go see if that shot is going to be a difference maker. The problem is heals still full HP, and with this man being so mobile, he's not going to struggle taking any trades.
Yeah, I feel like having a light tank in the late game is so valuable, to the point where I'd rather have one light tank than two heavy tanks, since you can just move around so easily with the light tank. You have a more view range, you have better DPM most of the times. It's great to have a light tank in the end game.
With the Chieftain to support, at least with the damage, we do see that Punisher and Psycho, they are hoping to make this still work. They're up double the points, but with this HP differential, you usually are a little bit more worried about that. The problem is, though, I mean, one bad trade could just end that all. Now, Punisher, he is going to be... Oh, I'm hoping to find him. There's Punisher. Hey, Mr. Punisher. So we do have Punisher in vision, and Mr. Animal slowly sneaking up on him like an animal and takes him out without even skipping a breath. And QQ, it looks like they will finally have their first point on the board.
Having that light tank in the late game was indeed very substantial for the win.
Who would have thought that if the heals does not take all the damage in the early game, he would be such a Chad in the late. So, absolutely beautiful by Mr. Heals. We finally got to see him in the late game. So, not going to be overpoking that tank for a while, I hope. But let's go see what the scoreboard says and see what these guys are going to show us in the next one. See, I love this loading screen. We just get to look at my beautiful little Caro. I was so excited when I got to buy it this month. It was like the perfect time. Now, looking at this, oh, and seeing a light tank top DPS. Whoopsie. You called it so well.
Yep.
MVP.
I mean, the Vickers right now is in a really good position because people are very interested in taking the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, but if you take a Vickers Light which has hash, means that you can just ignore the whole thing called reactive armor. Reactive armor just doesn't do anything against HE, so as a Vickers Light you can just out DPM the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen if it is being used.
Now, going into the next one, we have Lagoon, and as I've been schooled by Mr. 34, I believe, Lagoon, very, very even map, and really glad to see that this one will hopefully also give QQ a chance to shine, because a lot of the times when you get to this stage of the game, it feels pretty scary to just be at the fate of the spawn, and Lagoon not really leaving you with that of a disadvantage. Now guys, in the chat, we might be heading into our last game here, so let's do one more giveaway opportunity in the chat. Okay, what are we gonna ask them, Whoopsie? Help. Help. What is the question for this one?
Who do they think is going to win? No.
Who do they think is going to win? Actually, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Guys, we will be choosing 5 lucky people out there on YouTube to send something nice to, if you guess correctly, the next round's winners. And also, for bonus points, who's at the top of the damage board?
Yeah, top damage board. That's also a very good question to ask.
But just this round, because I can't track all the rounds,
Yeah,
otherwise this is going to be
no.
crazy. And let's go get that vision. As we see, most people again going towards A. Nobody from QQ going anywhere else. We have our eyes set on A and A only.
I mean, A is the main part of the map where you can make use of your turret armor, so it makes sense, but I would have expected to see at least someone try to hold the B cap, since obviously if you're all going A, you might expect some people going for B as well.
Absolutely no one stepping out of place, knowing exactly that it's damage that matters here. And the hills, again, very far forward, but he knows it matters. Quickly, just firing shots every single way. HP, almost dead even, but very fairly split around the side of QQ. Now, it does look like Liquid is getting some members dangerously low, and this could be a takedown so quickly, but the hills, I cursed him earlier, 400 HP left, he might be first blood, but Striker takes first blood, or is first blood, actually. Hills goes down next. Not going to be seeing the end of this game.
I don't like to see those SPHTs just YOLOing in like damage sponges. It pains me.
The damage sponge has been destroyed though. And we do see the second damage sponge getting dangerously low. Feeling a little bit too confident here by QQ. And Liquid says, guys, this was fun, but let me show you how to close out a game properly. As object 3 is just getting so low. Days also just a sitting duck, taking another bit of damage here. Waiting to get that reload, and Punisher getting that kill yet again.
I feel like Liquid is in quite a confident position right here with like 6 tanks and quite a good positional advantage in my opinion.
Peanut, full clip, but not an opportunity to spend it. That animal, he's just waiting for him to blow that shot so he can poke out that snoot to do some return damage. QQ now needing a miracle. Only 3 alive, and they are so low. Jungle Squad getting so low, and Peanut just not able to get that killing blow, but Armory is in position. He does get the killing blow, and QQ, hopes and dreams. Almost over.
Yep. That was a very confident victory for Liquid.
Liquid showing us that they came in here to win, and that's honestly something I would have expected from a team like Liquid. Liquid carrying their way through to the EU Grand Finals tomorrow, while QQ needs to go fight in that loser bracket against whoever is going to be taking that next round. Visible on our other streams, guys. But that brings us to the end of our Saturday coverage, I would say. So, guys, actually, let's see the top damage so I know who to send to. So we have Animal, absolute Animal here, taking that top damage. I hope someone actually guessed it right, though.
Maybe. Let's have a look.
It feels like it's about time for us to see that. So guys, I will be sending out rewards tomorrow after the next stream because I need to sleep tonight a little bit as well. So before our NA matches will start. So guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow and a little bit more rewards. I'll try to actually get it up in the portal, but this depends on how much time I have. Hopefully we have that chance. But training rooms tomorrow, so it's gonna be high stakes. So guys, I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and one last wave. And until tomorrow, and that's it. So thanks for watching, and yeah, until then.